Hi, I'm your host Kelly Bowen, and you are listening to the Lifestyle Finance Australia show, which is dedicated to creating greater awareness about the power of leveraging finance when it comes to accelerating your growth and personal development. And we celebrate the hundreds of coaches, thought leaders, and game changers we support. This is a platform where you can meet some of the world's best experts in online business, trauma healing, digital marketing, relationship coaching, abundance and wealth creation, spiritual ascension, body healing, and wellness. So if you're looking for your next coach, healer, or mentor to take you on the next step in your journey, this is the show for you. Let's play. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to another episode of the Lifestyle Finance Show. I know we've been away for a while. I have been overseas on a huge pilgrimage, and today I have the most incredible, vibrant, alive being with me on the show, Nat Paterson. She is an incredible starseed goddess and just this big ball of energy, and I'm so excited to share you on the show today, Nat. Welcome.
Yay. Hey, thanks, babe. Thanks so much for having me.
You're so welcome. Now, I always like to start these conversations with introducing you to the audience in a way that's going to make sense to them, because we work with a lot of different people through lifestyle finance, and one of the biggest intentions is to really showcase the incredible people that we work with to help people choose the next right person on their journey. So if you were to sum up in a few sentences exactly what it is that you do and who it is that you love working with and get the best results, how would you put that into a few sentences for me?
Okay, thanks so much. So I am a 5D energetics and business coach. So basically, I help entrepreneurs reclaim the power of their soul gifts. I allow them to step into the fifth dimension. I allow them to access the dormant codes that is within them, to give them also the strategy, the energetics behind business so that they can scale their business with ease and flow.
That sounds so sexy.
So cool, hey, thanks.
Epic. And what would be like, and I love that you said, just as you were saying that, I just got this download of like, let's speak to like what is, because I know there's this huge shift between like going 3D business where it was all about success and it was like, do the grind, do the 9 to 5, like go, 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 so that in time you could then have the best life, and you kind of just get to the end of your retirement and you realize like, what have I done with my life other than work? And you mentioned like help them bring in their soul and their like the 5D essence to have them create this shift. Like what is the power? Like why would you want to embrace like bringing your soul into your business, into what it is that you're doing to access fifth dimensional consciousness?
Yes. So for me, when I came into more of alignment with myself, I became happier, right? And you know, this joy, this gratitude, the love is the highest vibrations we can feel in the third dimension and the fifth dimension. And when we're coming from a space of joy and love and expansion, we are in alignment, and then everything is more easier. And that's why I said with flow and ease before, is because life should be flowy. Life should be graceful. Life should be full of fucking joy and inspiration and passion. And for me, when I tune into my soul gifts, when I activate soul gifts in other people, they have this happiness that they've never experienced before. And everyone's like, you've changed my life. And I'm like, babe, this was always your true divine path. Like this is always who you truly were. You just had a little bit of programming and you were just stuck in the matrix. So when we break people out of the matrix of the 3D that's so dense and heavy and fear driven, and we bring people into their soul gifts that light them up, that ignite the fire within them, they come into alignment, then abundance flows, like people, clients flow, business flows, relationship flows, love life flows. Everything is that flow with ease. And so for me, it's, you know, I really use the energy of my masculine and my feminine in my business to use the grace and the flow, and also to use the strategy, the structure, so that people know and have a really good foundation of business. And so that's why, you know, I use energetics and business, because that is how we as star seeds are meant to live this world. We're meant to, you know, star seeds are meant to come into earth and serve. And so for me, my biggest passion on this earth is to help to activate other people's gifts that are dormant within them, because then they come into alignment and they have happiness and they have pleasure and they have joy. And Kelly, aren't we fucking meant to be on this earth to fucking experience joy? Like, isn't this what life is supposed to be about?
Yeah, there's a word that I love. It's called hedonism, and it's the pursuit of one's pleasure.
Oof. Yeah, babe.
If I was to sum my life up, I would definitely put like Adventures of a Hedonist behind it, because
Ooh.
even though they say like in the pursuit of pleasure is your unhappiness, but I think like the way that I take that is in the pursuit of pleasure is I want to experience everything that life has to offer me through my five senses. I want every moment to be like this new delicious life experience where, and it is in these moments of experiencing the pleasure and the joy of the mundane that's the experience of being alive. And I love that you were saying about how like helping people realize their soul gifts and bring them into alignment, because that's where the magic is. I
Mm.
also heard the other day something, and I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this, is that the highest vibration isn't love. And often we're taught the highest vibration is love. The most highest vibration a person can admit through their frequency is their true, most authentic self expression. It's actually higher than love. So when people remember their soul gifts,
Yeah.
who they become, and then what they then get to activate within others,
It's
is
the
like everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the expression of who they are. And I also think that's when like the joy comes in, and when we have joy, we have that expansion. And when we are true to who we are and our innate being, and we feel pleasure from that space, that is when I've coached a lot of people now. I've probably coached 200 people in the last year and 9 months. I believe all of the people that have had amazing success within my coaching business, all of them have come from a place of true authenticity and full self-expression. And when we remove the layers of trauma and programming and people pleasing and all the masks that we put on ourselves, we were talking about this just before we jumped on this podcast, all these masks that we play, the victim, the caretaker, the good girl, the nice guy, whatever these roles are that we consistently put on ourselves as we grow through our life. When we're putting all these masks on, we're really dimming our natural light. We're dimming who we are here to be. And then, when we can expose and release and transform, and when we can come back into alignment with who we are, and then, have those self-expression codes, that is when I think there's like a ticket to money. There's a ticket into the next dimension. There's a ticket into the next realm of like, okay, there's so much love that can expand here. And actually, funnily enough, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, Kelly, I totally got into a new timeline, and I was like just crying in gratitude and joy for like 2 days, and almost had this like worthiness piece come up of like, I've got my dream car, my dream house, I've got the most beautiful friends, I have the most incredible bank account, I have the most incredible family, like all these things in my life are so beautiful. I was just like crying of gratitude. And then I'm like, wow, it's because I now am so authentic that people just magnetize into my field and they want to work with me because I'm so authentic and I'm so self-expressed. And then I'm like, fuck, I literally reflected on this, like, shit, you're not 3 weeks ago. And I was like, all of the clients that have come into my field that have had really, really mint results have all had that same self-expression codes activated. And I'm like, this is like a ticket to money. Like this is literally a ticket to the abundance codes, right?
Absolutely. And I love that you say that. Like, and I love that you're having that recognition that that is your gift, and you're passing your gift on to everybody else who comes into your field. And I know we were talking about this before we jumped on, and I'd love to hear you like, I'm not going to tell you now, I'm going to tell you on the show. So I would love to know for the first time, this is me hearing it for the first time, everybody. Now, I'd love to know, because it wasn't always, you weren't always standing in the realization of your gift. There was a journey for you too. And I know the last year and 9 months has been a wild ride, and it has been fucking incredible in terms of what you've done. Like you were just telling me where you're about to hit with your income goals, and in second year of business, that's just insane. But yet you've done it in a way, you've built your business with this beautiful frequency of like freedom and abundance in it, which most people don't do. So I'd love to hear for our listeners a little bit about your journey, like where you were a year and 9 months ago. You told me you were driving an Uber and you were dead broke. And I'd love you to pick the story up from there and tell me how you went from there to where you are a year and 9 months later. Because I think in that, you sharing your authentic codes is going to also activate that into anybody listening to this episode. And I'd love for them to receive that.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. So, guys, we're currently in September, 19th of September, and I will definitely hit 7 figures in sales this year. Absolutely. and this is my second year of business. So I'm going to go back like a little snippet back even further.
Yeah, let's go. Let's get into the time machine.
Yeah, so I'm 29 right now. So when I was 17, my auntie died in a sudden car accident. Then my grandfather died of cancer, and my dad got cancer, all within a space of about 6 months. And this led me into a dark depression, anxious, and had no idea, if there was a God, why did this happen to me, right? I was totally in this role of like, what the fuck is going on? And I consistently question life. Like, why am I here? What am I here to do? Why am I experiencing all this pain? Like, what is going on? And at this point, I went and started to see psychics, and I was obsessed with trying to connect to my auntie. And I had this one psychic say to me, by the time you're 32, you're going to be so fucking successful, and you're going to have this massive spiritual business that's going to be worldwide. And of course, I was like, bitch, you're crazy. There's no way. However, she planted a seed inside my being, right? And so fast forward 18, 19, 20, I became a drug addict. I became an ice addict, and I got really, really, really deep, dark. And I came out the other side, and then I ended up finding my spirit guides. I ended up finding meditation. And through meditation, I started to connect to my spirit guides. I started to connect to spirits. And then I was like, fuck, this is the most love I've ever felt. I really want to keep continuing this journey. So at the start of COVID, my spirit guides were like, you need to sell everything and move to Queensland. So I was in Melbourne in a hardcore lockdown. You were there too, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, couldn't leave the house at 8 p.m. And so I spent all my time meditating and connecting. Sure enough, I sold my lash business, my car, my furniture, and I literally surrendered to the universe and came up to the Gold Coast. At the start of last year, I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? Sorry, actually, just before that, probably October, not last year, year before, I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? One day I went to Kirtan to sing Hare Krishnas, as I used to do for connection. And I sat down next to this lady, and she owned an NLP school. And my guides were like, you need to go there. So I did my master's in NLP, did some hypnosis, and I started a coaching business on the 11th of the 1st, 111, because I'm of course. And so last year in January, started my business, and I started off specifically helping people out of depression and anxiety. So last year I helped 70 people out of anxiety and depression. And I had so many people ask me, how are you doing so well, Nat? And I was like, well, I've got some strategies and some systems that my spirit guides gave me. I have obviously invested quite a lot of money now in mentors, and I'm just following my intuition. And so then I had, I think, 5 people in a month ask me to help them in their business. And I was like, of course, no worries, babe, I'll just help you. So then I started realizing that I'm actually really a business coach. And so, of course, Spirit led me into business coaching. And at the start of the year, I had a download to start a group container called the Magic Codes. And so the Magic Codes is a 6-month container. And originally I was like, oh, I'll have 12 people in there. And then a mentor said to me, fuck that, you're going to have 20 people in there. And I was like, all right. So I started manifesting 20 people. Sure enough, I had 33 people come through it. Wow. And I was like, wow, I'm really creating a huge network. And then I had, lots of people wanting to work with me one-on-one. And at the start of this year, I was like, fuck, I'm really going to hit 7 figures this year. Like, I'm really going to be able to do this. I started running events. I ran a retreat, and I was like, fuck, this is something that I really deeply desire to do, is to help people ignite their gifts to make more impact, more ripple effect in humanity, opposed to me just helping a few people, with anxiety and depression. If I'm helping other leaders, other light leaders, then they're going to help their communities, and that's going to grow. And so I'm going to impact more people. And so I was like, this makes more sense. And then so literally, whilst I started my coaching business, I was driving Uber Eats. I was working as a casual at Platypus Shoes. And then, of course, I didn't get the jab, so they fired me. So I literally started working as Uber Eats, and I had a $500 car that literally had a little, like, the window didn't completely go up, so the water would get in when it rained, and it would fucking sloosh, babe. My car would sloosh and my car would stink. And I was like, it's going to pay off. I'm going to buy a nice car next year. Like, I know this is going to work. And I had so many people be like, oh, yeah, Nat's starting another business. And although I had a lot of success with my lash business, I sold that and I did really well with that. So I had some credibility and I had some confidence stacked within me. So when I started this business, I was fully backing myself, even though a couple of people were like, oh, Nat's starting a fucking spiritual business, like, righto. And so, you know, slowly but surely I started to do really well. And then May this year, bought my beautiful car outright, a beautiful BMW convertible. And it was like my dream came true. When I was 18, I manifested that I'd buy this Beamer one day. And of course, now at 29, I've done it. And so I'm like, fuck, I can really help inspire other people to do so. Also, another thing that was really cool a few months ago, a few people in my community had asked me, hey, Nat, do you have any VAs? Like, do you know any VAs that I could utilize? And I was like, oh, sure. And then I said to Spirit, you know, do I have any VAs? Like, what am I meant to do? And Spirit was like, you're going to own a VA agency. So I was like, okay, awesome. I really want to bring beautiful VAs into the business that I can train, that are heart-centered, that are totally aligned, that want to manifest, like that already know this sort of work. So now I have 11 employees and we are building an amazing VA agency to help other entrepreneurs in the industry, you know, allow them to have more, allow them to stay in their magic. You know, I don't want to fucking do payment plans. I don't want to do email campaigns. I don't want to fucking go into Canva and spend time doing that. I want to be able to spend my time learning, developing, creating from a space of authenticity, opposed to a place of, fuck, I have to do this system. Fuck, I have to do this. Like, babe, I do not want to do any fucking systems in my business. However, my VAs can do that, right? They've created all the SOPs for my business. They're the ones that put together my masterclass once I've written it out. So having that as well in the back end is really cool. So when people join up with my coaching business, I'm like, hey, do you need a VA? So yeah, I've had some amazing success. I feel incredibly grateful. I've just started a podcast as well. And yeah,
What's the name of the podcast?
It's called the Ascension Codes.
Ascension Codes. We will also put this in our write-up so you can follow her as well. If you've loved anything, you are definitely going to love her there.
Thanks, babe. Also, too, you know, when you come onto the Gold Coast, I would love to have you as well on. So let's connect that as well. And yeah, so I've had some amazing success. I've been able to inspire lots of people. A lot of my clients are doing really, really well. And it's really just about us, you know, inspiring other people to do better and create the life that they really want to live.
It's incredible. I'm so proud of you and celebrating like every moment of that. And I love hearing, like, it's so rare to see somebody come up to 7 figures in their second year of business. And we're often like, we're sold the dream that that's possible. It's absolutely possible, and you're living proof that it is possible. However, usually the shit that people have to deprogram and unplug to even be able to receive at that level and to be able to hold that many people in their field is huge. And there's a couple of things you said in there that I wrote down, and I'm like really curious to hear you speak to. One was like this overcoming drug addiction, like the courage to do that is huge. And then the other part where I kind of feel like this might tie into is that you talk about like you're so guided by your guides. Like, where did that courage come from to overcome the drug addiction, but two, to be able to surrender to your guides and trust like that? Because that's not an easy process. And this is, I was told something, I had an incredible healing session on the weekend by this amazing channel called Polina. And one of the messages that I got through her channel was, when we fly on the wings of our authentic truth and we don't lie to ourselves, we fly real fast. So listening to your story, what I'm hearing is like the wings of that truth and how fast you've flown. There's a thread within that though, is I'm hearing courage. So can you like talk us through a little bit, like, how did you cultivate this courage to trust in the unknown? Like, create a VA agency, okay, go do this, okay. Like where did this come from? How did you cultivate this?
That's a really great question. So really, when I was a drug addict, right, if I knew if I could get off ice, I can do anything. I kind of like built this like, fuck, if I can get off ice, like and I also like smoked cigarettes for years and stuff like that. But I was like, if I can beat those addictions, like ice addicts, you know, it's one of the hardest addictions in the world to overcome. I'm like, if I can overcome that, I can do anything. So kind of built this like fuck it attitude, this I'm unfuckable attitude within me. And so really when I started to build this business, actually, do you want to know a big piece?
Yeah.
When I was with my ex-boyfriend, he would say to me quite often, he was like, oh, I won't believe it until I see it. So I was like, I'm gonna be a fucking millionaire. And he's like, yeah, you're right, Nat. And this like, just like, it just kind of gave me this like, fuck you, man. And it kind of gave me this like, this fucking like, I need to do this to prove to him that I can do it. And then it was also like a proving to myself. So kind of built my business a little bit on pain, guys. You know, I was like in this pain of like, I need to move towards like, how can I fucking show these people that I'm actually worthy of this? So I've had to overcome a lot of fucking mental blocks and programming, like you mentioned before. And so, yeah, I suppose it was like a really big piece that I had to go through. And the certainty that I cultivated with my spirit guides was the big pieces were every single time they told me to do something, like I was seeking guidance. So if they gave me guidance, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to listen to them. They must know a thing or two. Like surely they're sent to me for a reason. So I kind of just had this like innate knowing once I, got clean and started connecting, because I was in such a fucking headspace anyway. Like I had anxiety and depression. And I was still partying all the time and escaping, working so many hours, and I was just so fucking unhappy. But when my spirit guide said, hey, Nat, do this, or hey, Nat, try this, or hey, Nat, do this, I was like, well, it makes sense. Like I've got nothing to lose. I've got nothing to lose by trusting them. And so it kind of just started stacking up. Every time they told me to do something amazing would happen. And I was like, fuck, this is really cool. Like my guides clearly know what they're doing. They're leading me to, what's over the rainbow, the pot of gold, let's say. So I just kind of started to follow them and trust them. And then when they were like, move to Queensland, I was like, well, fuck it. Like I'm fucking hating Melbourne. I hate my life isn't actually as good as I think it is. And I'm living a very mediocre life. And so fuck it, what's beyond the fear, right? There must be something greater. And I almost have become addicted, if I'm honest, to this whole, every single time I get myself into a zone of fear, I know that there's something going to be good on the other side of it. So I'm almost like seeking, how can I get myself into a point of like shit my pants zone? How can I find the scary zone, the fear zone, the shit my pants zone? Because I know through that fear, I'm going to grow exponentially. And so I've almost like got this innate knowing now that every time my guides say, hey, Nat, jump, I'm like, okay, cool. How high and where do I jump first? And every single time they tell me, it's like, oh, there's a beautiful landing. And I'm like, I'm so looked after, to the point where I used to have this fear of flying years ago. And now I start flying, I'm like, I literally can't die. Like I'm invincible right now because my guides have got a bigger plan for me. And I was at Tony Robbins on the weekend, and I was saying this to you before we jumped on the podcast. I've been showing myself now speaking on massive stages all over the world, activating lots, like thousands of people, not just a couple hundred people, like tens of thousands of people in light language and their soul gifts. And I know I'm here for such a big mission, and I've totally accepted it. And so with the acknowledgement and the acceptance of my big mission, I feel as if more doors are starting to open for me. And so really, we both said this at the start of the call as well, is like this surrendering, and it's the surrender and trust game of like, I know I'm taken care of. So no matter what I do, if I deny, it's also another thing that I always say to my clients, if I deny my mission in this lifetime, I'm just going to have to be reincarnated to do it again. So like, why the fuck would I bother? I may as well just do it now. So for those of you who are listening and you know that there's something that you need to do and you keep putting it off, let me tell you something. Your karmic pattern is going to come back and you're going to have to fucking redo it. So just do the goddamn thing that you know you need to do, because otherwise you're going to have to come back and do it again. So I'm like, all right, guys, in my next lifetime, I want a better lifetime. I want to ascend to the next dimension or the next consciousness or the next whatever it is. So I might as well just fucking do it while I'm here.
I love that. It's like level completed. Tick.
I always say, did you ever play Crash Bandicoot when you were younger?
No, I wasn't allowed to have video games. I feel like I missed a whole part of childhood.
Oh, man. Do you know what? One day, let's play some fucking Crash Bandicoot.
Okay, great.
It's like this little, I always thought that Crash Bandicoot was a fox until someone said it's a bandicoot. And I was like, what the fuck is a bandicoot?
I was about to Google it.
It turns out a bandicoot is like this little mousy, fucking rabbity little animal. Anyway, they created this character, In Crash Bandicoot, he runs, he jumps on some boxes, he gets some apples, and he continues to up level. And every time he's like going through this computer game up leveling. And I'm like, this is literally our life. Like, we're literally in a simulation. Like, every time we download codes or every time we come into activations with other people, we're just consistently leveling up ourselves, right?
Yep.
Do you have that same mindset of like, we're just opening new grids, new timelines? Like, we're just souls that consistently evolve. So it's like, for what purpose would we not do our purpose when we know we're just going to have to come back and do it again? So it's like, if you're really spiritual and you are really walking the spiritual path, just fucking do the thing that you know you're here to do. Even if it scares the shit out of you, you know that your guides are going to look after you.
Yeah. If you had the whole power of the universe and infinite intelligence behind you and you knew you couldn't fail.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I've already gone to the depth of my soul. Like, I've faced death so many times. Like, I didn't want to be alive for so long. Like, I've gone to some pretty fucking dark places. So what else can be like fear? Like, come on, all right, we'll play the game. So I kind of now I'm like, it's kind of like a little bit of a game. Like, how can I really fucking be scared of something? Because I know there's going to be like abundance on the other side. I know there's going to be another beautiful client on the other side, or another cool experience that I get to talk about, you know?
God, I love it. I just love everything that you're sharing with that because it's like if I've got nothing else to lose, then I've got everything to gain. Or if I've been exploring these densities, like what if I was to choose something else? What if I was to like step on the other side? What if I was to create something magical? Like I've done that. I'm bored of that. I don't want to come back and do that again. Like what if I was to step forward into my truth? Now I have a question for you because this is something that I often get asked. And I'm really curious to hear your take on it. We've all got voices in our head, right? And we're dealing with depression and anxiety. There's other voices. There's multiple parts of ourselves. How do we know when our guide, like for you, how do you know when your guides are talking to you and when you're getting that kind of guidance? How do you differentiate between those voices? Is it like a feeling that comes through your body? Is it like how you hear something? Because for me, I feel it in every cell of my body, which is the difference between me and my own bullshit and the guidance.
Guidance. Wow, that's a really good question. For me, I think that a lot of people that have depression, this is just my take on everything, guys. So this is in my belief system. I believe that most people that have depression have a negative entity or maybe negative spirits around them talking to them. I also think that they're in a really low vibration. And when you're in a really low vibration, it's hard to break out of that matrix or break out of that grid. So for anyone that is feeling that way, listening to this, the big key here is raise your vibration. It's as simple as that. Raise your vibration, Google it, YouTube it, TikTok it, fucking raise your vibration. Like that's going to help you and humanity exponentially. And so then the next piece is when I intuitively get the nudge, it is so obvious, whether it's, I quite often get my ears will ring really loud to the point where I can almost not hear anything else. So I literally have to stop and take a big deep breath in. And on the second breath in, my guides normally give me a piece of information, or it's like a visual that I can't not see. So let's say right now, you were to see in your imagination a green tree or a orange or a apple or whatever it might be. You imagine this, right? When I get a download, sometimes it's like I visually see it. Like my clairvoyant skills are so strong that I can't shake the same. I'll get the same vision, like bing, 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 bing. So I'll just like fucking have to pick it up. So for instance, when I was at Tony Robbins over the weekend, every single time he would come close to me, I just kept seeing myself on stage, the same snippet. It was only like a 2-second snippet, but I kept consistently seeing it. Until I actually said to my spirit guides, all right, I accept this big mission. I accept this next piece. Then it was like that night, my girlfriend who's actually a channeler, she's like, you need to accept a scroll. And I was like, all right. So then my spirit guides handed me this scroll in meditation. This is another key piece. So I do a lot of meditation and connect to my guides in meditation. My guides handed me this scroll and I put the scroll into my heart space. I've then allowed the scroll to kind of unravel in front of me, and then I downloaded the codes from the scroll. And so I suppose I really trust in my imagination. I really trust in the feeling, the vision, the seeing, the hearing that I get, because basically all my clear skills are open. And so I'm really able to like yeah, whether it's my ears getting a ring, whether it's me visually seeing it, whether I get the goosebumps, and it's not just a goosebumps, it's like my goosebumps, and it kind of like raises, like I feel like my body's like vibrating or levitating. Do you ever get that?
All the time. That's how I receive. So I know when I'm getting direct guidance or I'm hearing direct truth, because that's how it like vibrates through my body. I'm like, I can't ignore that. Or if I'm like really vibing in a conversation and I know that like this is the next person to work with, or we're going to collaborate on something, or like the truth that's being spoken, I feel it in every single cell of my body. Like all of them stand alive. Even with the people that I've hired in my business that are part of my business now, each time I've had that feeling, and the times where I didn't have that feeling, it did not work out.
Yes, it's always ways, and it's like now you probably have that same trust of like I literally have to listen to the divine. Like that is our innate knowing. Like we have to, when we don't do it, we fuck ourselves over. So it's kind of like just become good at learning my own lessons now. I'm like, not, I've learned the lesson 10 times. All right, fuck, I better just listen now.
Yeah, and it gets louder and louder. If you don't listen the first time, it gets a bit more dramatic and a bit more dramatic until you can't ignore it anymore. Like until like there's a like you mentioned before, Nat, about how you originally created your business from a place of like moving away from. I was the same. If you tell me I can't, I'm gonna give you the big fuck you and like watch me. Like it's the best and the worst thing you can say to me at the same time. But so much of what I had created, and like with what you're saying, had come from this moving away from. And then this is that lesson of like not listening to the lesson, not listening to the lesson, not listening to the lesson until you're flat on your butt. And then in that place, like, why does it have to get to the point of you back on the wall before you actually do something and take action on it? What if you could just get the guidance and continuously be creating in expanded states of joy, love, fun, play, abundance? So now when I start to get that guidance, I like to think like I act on the first call. Some of the things, if it's, there's a saying that's the cost of your new life is the cost of your old life. Are you willing to pay the admission? That's the ones where I might need to hear it a few times because I'm gaining too much out of like the old reality to let it go. And it's kind of like, white knuckling, and it's like pulling the knuckle off, like, okay, I'll jump. But those ones, sometimes there's a few more like, hey, we're calling you, where there might be, you need a little bit more pain to move out of it. If the perceived pleasure on the other side of the change isn't outweighing the perceived pleasure I'm receiving from the current situation. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely, babe. And like, I always say this to the entrepreneurs that I work with as well. It's like either you're working with pleasure or you're working with pain. And so I hope that, we've done enough work now, babe. Like you've been doing this stuff for 8 years. Like you've done a lot of self-development. I too, we've done so much self-development now that we're not moving from a place of pain anymore. It's actually coming from like desire and pleasure and from what we want to create. So a space of joy, like it's a completely different frequency now. Right. And we've learned our lessons so many times. Say again, sorry.
So it's a completely different operating system.
Yes. And it does come with a huge paradigm shift as well. Because when I had the epiphany that was happening, was probably about 4 months ago now. And I really wanted to hear from I know my family love me, and I know that they're super grateful for me, and that they're super proud of what I do. But I actually wanted to hear my little sister. It was my little sister that was the catalyst. When she said, I'm so fucking proud of you, and she cried with like, I love you, I'm so proud of you. That was enough. I was like, I don't need to prove anyone anything anymore. Like I'm now, it's like, it was just like almost like everything stopped, all the pain had stopped. And it was like, great. So now I'm literally creating a space, like I'm creating a new business. So opposed to me having to hustle all the time, I was like, actually, I want to do this full from a place of like gratitude and love. And what do I want to create now? And it was a big paradigm. It was actually an identity death. It was a huge identity death that I had to grow through. And it's so simple. Like I know that my sister was so proud of me, but when she actually said the words, I'm so proud of you, I was like, oh, wow. Now my whole reality is shifted. Now I have to do something different. Okay. Because like the desire was now different. So it was like now more me moving towards my mission of like, what do I want to create? Like how many humans can I help now? Yeah, it was a difference. I actually stopped chasing money as much as well. So I was like,
let's talk about this, because you and I were talking about this before we jumped on, because I've also recently received a very similar kind of message, and I feel I'm sitting right at this pressure point too of, so the way that we can, when we're creating through these places of limitation, of like proving ourselves and need to, and all of these programs where we're trying to experience like freedom within the limitations of our own programs and limiting beliefs and our own internal world, we're not really experiencing freedom. We're not really experiencing abundance because it's all driven off these limitations. But then when you step into this space of, oh, well, if I don't need to do that anymore, how do I then create from, like, what do I desire? And if you, and this is the wildest question that I've been sitting with, and I've been sitting with it probably for, I don't know, it started 2.5 years ago, and it's a continuous unfolding thing because I had so many boxes around myself that I thought these were the things that I wanted, but I was literally just creating like somebody else's like idea for me, or that I'd taken on, or this is success, or this will bring me happiness or fulfillment, or whatever it is. Stripping all these things back and finally being at this point. And what can happen, and you see this with animals, if you've ever rescued an animal and you put them in a box or a cage and you go to let them out, they want to stay in their box or cage because it feels safer in the known than stepping out into this complete unlimited space of potentiality and possibility of freedom, of asking the, like, what do you want? You are free now, and what are you going to do with this freedom? And so I would love to hear a little bit more about your own journey and transition of, it is such a different place to create, it is a completely different operating system, there are completely different realities, because when you stop and ask that question, when you're not going off the back of having to prove something or anybody else's thing, it's the, well, what do I want?
Yes, I literally had to go through this, and I shit you not, I cried for like 2 days. I was like, what am I doing? And although I had built this business that was so successful, I was like, what? Like, hold on a second, why am I really doing this? And it was really a lot of self-reflection. So what I journaled on a lot was, why am I doing this? Who am I? Firstly, who am I? Which is a beautiful, have you done some Muji's stuff? Muji's meditations?
No, tell me about it.
Oh my God, babe. So Muji is I believe, is an enlightened master from the seventh dimension. He is a guru. He's Jamaican. And I think he is actually living in someplace in Europe. And he's got ashrams and people can go and sit with him. And I'm really excited. Next year I'm going to go and sit with him. And it's one of my goals. And basically, like, he has this, he's basically God consciousness talking straight into humanity. And one of his biggest teachings is this meditation that is, who am I? And he basically, you ask your unconscious mind, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? So you're unraveling all the programming, you're unraveling all the matrix, you're unraveling all of the life that you've had on this earth. And it's just like, who am I in the essence of your soul? And I spent a lot of time doing this who am I meditation. And I spent a lot of time also asking myself, like, why am I doing this business? And so one thing that I always get my clients to do is write down 20 reasons why you're a coach, or 20 reasons why you're a facilitator, 20 reasons why you have your big mission. I also, like, the biggest teaching I have is I connect everyone to their mission as soon as I start working with them. That is my first thing, because I believe all starseeds and light workers, heart-centered entrepreneurs that want to work with me, they've been called to me because they have a big mission that they're here to serve humanity. So the big piece is we find their purpose, we find their mission, and then we help create a plan of how they can then obviously monetize it and help serve. And so I suppose what I had to do, and this is what I would also inspire you to do, babe, is literally write down on a piece of paper, do 50 reasons why you are here to complete your mission, and go to the point, go beyond like just doing 10 or doing 20, like go beyond the point of like you're in tears of gratitude of like, fuck, this is what I'm here to do. And when you go through that, there's like, I believe there's like a cracking open of your heart that happens, of expansion, of like inspiration. And it's like, oh, like, this is what I'm here to do. And it's fucking beautiful. Like tears of beautiful, like, oh my God, this is why I'm here. And that
Challenge.
yeah. And then honestly, voice note me later, I'd love to know. And through that is like the bigness of like, fuck yeah, I get why I'm here. And that is where another piece of like, you come into alignment, because everything just becomes easy because you've accepted it. You've accepted your big mission. I think there's a massive piece here as well, actually. About, I'm going to say at the start of the year, I knew I had to run these big events. I knew that I was going to teach people what their mission was. I ran an event at the start of the year called What's My Mission, based on the fact that last year, all the starseeds that I was working with that had depression and anxiety, all of them were, the reason they had this was because they were out without a purpose. So it's detrimental to a starseed if they don't have their purpose. So at the start of the year, I birthed an event called What's My Mission? And the purpose for that was obviously for people to come into alignment with what their mission is. And then I got them the steps of what they can then do with it. And it was shortly after that I was saying to my spirit guides one day out loud, universe, spirit guides, what do I do next? What is the next step for me? I need you to make it clear. I need you to show me. And guys, by the way, side note, you can fucking ask your spirit guides for anything and everything because they want to help you. So I'm like, universe, spirit guides, show me what I need to do. Show me what I need to do. And I was literally like screaming. I was like, show me. How can I do this? Like, what's the next piece? And I was on the ground crying, right? Then my spirit guide just like floats on down and hands me a fucking sword. So I take the sword and I'm like, take it out of its fucking case. And I'm like, I fucking stab it into the ground. My bad. Imaginary sword, by the way, guys. I stab it into the ground. I'm like, my mission is to raise the Earth's consciousness to the 5th dimension. I'll do whatever it takes. I declare. And in that declaration, there was so much frequency and so much fucking vibration that the whole universe, well, this is what I believe, the whole universe heard my declaration. And it was in that moment that my spirit guides were like, what do you need? And I was like, I need clients. I need money, because this money is resources. This resources is going to help me do a podcast. This resource is going to help me hire a team. This resource is going to help me get the marketing that I need and the branding that I need to take my business to the next level so that more people can see me so I can help more people. And so I was like, there is a huge piece to declaration. So I always make people scream out loud their mission. So powerful, because you could say, I set the intention to raise the Earth's frequency to the 5th dimension. Fuck, there's no frequency in that, right? So it's like, universe, are you listening? I set the intention, like, I declare, whatever it is, like you're making a statement to the universe. And then the universe is going to conspire for you, through you, because the reason you are fucking here is because you signed a soul contract, because you are supposed to do your mission.
100%. My God.
Fucking boom, guys.
Oh, no, like how we were talking about before, when you know you're receiving truth and you know you're feeling truth, like my whole body was alive with that. And it's so true, like that this moment that we make a declaration of something. So when we're like, people are like, oh, how do I manifest? And it's like, it's intention, that it is energy, and that it is action into the physical. And you can have an intention, like you said. I love that you gave the two flavors of that, because it's like, I want to raise the vibration of humanity to the 5th dimensional consciousness. There is no certainty in that. That is flaky as fuck. But when you declare it like that, with every single cell in your being, with the whole of like your multidimensionality behind you, and like you make a declaration like that, the universe can't help but respond and conspire in helping you do that. Your team wants to help you. They're all waiting for you to just say, I'm ready. And they're not going to go with a flaky yes. I think it comes back to, I just spat everywhere. I think it comes back to consent, right? That's how excited I am. A shaky yes is not a yes. It has to be an absolute full body yes, or it's just a no. Like, it's the same thing. Like, when you're doing this stuff, you have to declare it. You have to put your whole body behind it. You have to put everything into it. And that's when the magic happens. And like with that kind of declaration and that kind of energy, it makes so much sense why you've done so much within such a short amount of time.
Yeah, it's either a full fuck yes or it's a no. And when you have the balls and the courage to only live your life out of a full fuck yes, that is when the vibration will start to shift. That's when the timelines will start to open. That's when you will start to live your more fucking true aligned life, right? And this is the freedom piece. Like you've spoken to before about you wanting to have more free, well, you wanting to teach people freedom, or like, what does freedom mean to you? Like for me, freedom is where we can be all of ourselves, always fully self-expressing, always. And if we have, my 555 just turned up on the screen, guys. Of course. When we can also come into a space of like, this is our mission, this is what we're here to do. And then when abundance starts to flow, then we also have more freedom, because it's like, well, money, abundance is actually freedom, choice. We can do whatever we want to do. And I mean, like, I would love to be making $5 million a year or $6 million a year, so I can, give $1 million back to charity, and then I can do $1 million to traveling, $1 million to whatever the fuck I want to buy, just because I want to fucking experience this human reality, because we chose to come down to this earth, so why not block and have a good time? And so I'm like, how can I create like big vision, like bigger picture? Like, how can we create this sort of abundance? And it's actually all around us. Like at Tony Robbins, this one lady was speaking about, she's a billionaire, $1.8 billion. Wow. Yeah, man, she had this one idea, one crazy idea, and she got 100 no's, and she just kept going. It was a makeup business. And then L'Oreal ended up purchasing it from her from $1.8 billion. And she said something that stuck with me. She said, did you just see that spirit?
No, I did not.
Actually, just a spirit that went.
There's probably so many flying around us right now.
She said, there is a point in your career where everyone's talking shit about you and people are judging you, like, oh, I can't believe Natalie's doing that now. I can't believe Kelly's doing that now. They go from that point to being like, oh my God, I knew Natalie through so-and-so, or I knew Kelly through so-and-so. So they're talking shit about you. There's like a judgment piece where people are talking shit about you. And then all of a sudden there's a piece of like, they're actually telling people how they know you. And I was like, fuck, that's so fascinating.
It's true though. And this is the interesting part with that, right? Everybody wants to be close to greatness. Everybody wants to be around somebody who is doing well, because it goes back to that piece we were talking about earlier. When you're in your most authentic self-expression, you're an activator to activate that within others. So it goes from they're afraid of the judgment, because now you're breaking out of the collective, you're doing something different, you're choosing you, you're making a commitment and a connection to yourself, and you're choosing that path and the guidance, which could sound completely whack to anybody else. And then all of a sudden when they see the proof, I'll believe it when I see it, when they start to see it, it's like, oh, now they want to be close, because then they see the magic in what it was that you did. And it's this weird kind of like polarizing, like push-pull kind of frequency that goes from, oh, that's just weird Nat doing her thing and that's not going to work, to, oh my God, I used to know her and here's how, and wanting to be close by association because of the, like, this activation thing that happens.
Yes, it's amazing, isn't it?
It's incredible.
Wild world we live in.
Isn't it? So I would love to know, my battery is about to die, I've got 3%. So I'm going to ask the question, and as you answer the question, I am going to like plug us into source.
Right.
Of some kind. So I would love to finish today, like, because you spoke about this new part of your mission being an activation with light language, and I'd love to, like, if you're open to it, love to leave everybody with a little activation to help them come into this frequency of their mission. Before we do that though, being that we are talking about finances, lifestyle finance show, and that's how we came into contact, and I had the grace of being in your presence to even have this conversation, I'd love to know a little bit about, like, what sort of a difference has being able to offer your clients finance made for you and your business growth and what you're doing now, and also them in stepping into their mission and stepping into their gifts.
Yeah, totally. And I just want to say on that, babe, I'm so fucking grateful for you and what you've been able to give and gift to my business. So, beautiful humans, I have an in-house payment plan system, and yet I was like, fuck, I would really love to offer people lower payment plans. However, within the system that I have, I want to create it like a consistent, consistency across my business. And so a friend of mine actually said to me, actually an old mentor of mine said to me, babe, have you not met Kelly? And I was like, no, who's Kelly? And he was like, mate, I'll put you in a chat with her and start financing your business. So basically, the ease and flow of being able to work with you and your consultants, of having someone come into my business, and if they can't necessarily afford the payment plans that I have, being able to literally give them you guys, and you guys being able to be bridge the gap, being like, cool, we can do a payment plan starting at like $50 a month. I'm like, what the fuck? This is so cheap. Why are more people not doing this? And then what happens as a business owner, for those of you who are business owners listening to this, I get that cash in full. Like, so let's say my program's $10,000. If I'm using finance, I can be like, hey, Kelly, I've got this new client, fill out a referral form, which is so easy on the phone whilst I'm selling my client, literally so simple. It's such a seamless process as well. And then Kelly is literally able to put it through within 24 hours. And then I get that $10,000 straight into my bank account. And then I don't have to deal with the fuck around of payment plans. I don't have to deal with any of that sort of stuff. It's already done with Kelly. So thank you so much for dealing with that. I really appreciate you. And it's just the ease and flow of like, you know, all the other consultants that I've worked with, your team, they're all trained so well and they're all available to talk to me and chat with me if I have any questions. And like the onboarding process was so easy. So it really has made such a difference in my business. I've probably had 100K revenue come through in the past couple of months working with you, which has been really cool. And I've referred all of my clients to you. And it's just an easy added process to my business so that I actually get the payment in full. So guys, if you're listening and you're interested, fucking talk to Kelly. She's so beautiful. It's so easy. It's like for any business owner, I'm kind of like, how do you not have this? This is like a necessity. So yeah, highly recommend.
Thanks, Nat. That was really beautiful. And I would also like to extend my gratitude too, because you've been absolutely instrumental in my growth this year with all the beautiful souls that you sent my way. And, you know, we wouldn't be having this chat without her. We wouldn't be making the difference that we are without having like people that are believing in what we're doing, like yourself, and like sharing it, because this is how we create the ripple effect. Growth shouldn't cost us an arm and a leg, and we shouldn't have to like this whole old paradigm of going all in and burning bridges and stretching ourselves to our edges, like that's old world. It's not abundant. We want to do things abundantly with grace and with ease. And I know we've spoken about grace and ease a few times. So from my heart to yours, thank you so much for the love and support and all the incredible people that you've been sending our way and being able to help and support and pass on that ripple effect.
Oh, you're so welcome, babe. And I also believe in this, right? If you do good work and you're actually good at what you do, then why would I not refer you? You know, we're creating a new earth together, and you know, you're so spiritually connected like I am. We have so many of the same beliefs, like we both totally galactic. And so it's like, fucking oath, babe, I'm so here to support you. So yeah, I love you.
Hey, I love you too. All right, are you ready to do like a light language activation?
Yep. I'm gonna do it for abundance too, because
okay, yeah, mission and abundance, why not?
Mission and abundance. All right, everyone taking a big deep breath in.
Yeah.
Just want you to breathe into your heart space right now, seeing a beautiful green light opening up your heart space. Just want you to set the intention in your mind to receive these codes. To ishiara da yoro to koyara na isiala to yoro to koyara la isiala to yoro to koshoyara ta le kiara to yomono. Take another big deep breath in. Shoyara la isiala to yolo lo to ishiala manotso koyara la isia. Koya ta 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 shkoyara hella hisiara to yara manasia to ya. Rakatoya la hete shoyara manasia to yasoro to koyana. And I'd just love you to start to see money flowing into your crown chakra, and just coming into your heart space, and bringing a beautiful big smile to your face as you know you're abundant. And just taking a moment to put your hands on your hearts. And just taking a big deep breath in and just being so grateful for this moment, receiving the codes, being a human being on earth right now, being activated in your mission, and opening your eyes when you're ready. Beautiful sister. Thank you so much.
Wow, 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 wow. Babe, that was incredible. We are going to chop that and we're going to share it everywhere. So now, if any of our listeners have been absolutely vibing with us all the way along and feel really activated with that and want to reach out and connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Oh, thank you so much. So it's at Natalie Paterson with 1 T, coaching on Instagram and TikTok. And then also too, like I mentioned before, I have a beautiful VA agency at Virtual Revolution _ and that is also in my bio. And also my podcast at the Ascension Codes _ as well, which is also in my bio at Natalie Paterson Coaching.
Amazing. Yeah. All right, so I'm also going to get all of these things and make it really easy for you. You're going to find it underneath like the podcast thing. It's going to be on my YouTubes, on my socials. It's going to be everywhere. And if it's all just too hard, send me a DM and I'll connect you.
Oh, thanks, babe. You're the best.
So beautiful souls, thank you so much. Nat, you have been incredible. I've loved every second of this. What you shared has been gold. That activation was like off the charts. I love you. I'm so excited to be co-creating with you. I'm excited for what the future's ahead. Thank you for sharing your gift from my heart to yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you, babe. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So welcome. And beautiful souls, as you know, we are not a sponsored show. How we get around is by you spreading us around. So please share the love. If you found something valuable in here, please share it, because if it's made a difference to you, it'll absolutely make a difference to someone else. I love you, and I look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Mwah!
Thank you for listening to the Lifestyle Finance Show. If you loved this interview, please feel free to share it, because if it made a difference to you, it will absolutely make a difference to others. And if you are a coach, healer, or mentor, and you'd like to explore getting finance set up for your business so you can get paid in full from day one and financially support your clients in a far greater capacity than just your in-house payment plan, head over to my website, www.lifestylefinanceco.com, and follow the prompts so we can explore this further. Big love, beautiful soul, and thanks for the support.